Hello everyone, Kier here, and welcome to the InfiNOT Podcast. I'm focused on the casual nature of the game, and each week I discuss the new patch, the new card, and my feelings on the game. Let's hop into it. So, this week we have a new card, a new location, and a really, really cool balance update. I'm excited to talk about it. Let's start with the new card. It's Misery. Misery is a 4/7, and they say on reveal, repeat the on-reveal abilities of your other cards here, then destroy them. So an easy way to think about this is it's Odin, and then a Carnage in the same card. Now, it doesn't gain power upon destroying something, it just destroys them. This is an interesting card to me because I think it speaks to this weird, this weird setup that they have for on-reveal cards that makes it really hard for a card to double them and be good. We saw this with Grandmaster, obviously. Absorbing Man has had its highs and lows, and Odin is, not in every deck, right? Having a deck that solely relies on reveal is, in a word, gimmicky, and I think that's been proven once again by Misery. Now, there has been a couple of decks that have done pretty well with Misery. I've seen Mill sort of make a comeback because having the ability to completely empty your opponent's deck is now possible with, turn 2 Cable, turn 3 Gladiator or something. But it's still, pretty Obviously, this card has a lot of potential, and I still think that it's going to have a place, especially given it is a cheaper Odin. There's going to be cards like Ironheart that have a very low power, but you don't care about it because they're doing something for you. I just don't see that yet. I'm not convinced yet that this card is, as stellar as I wanted it to be. And for that reason, I'm not picking it up this week. However, if you do like the Mill archetype, I will say I think it does improve that archetype by a pretty significant margin. It makes it so, your Baron Zemo can grab, a 4 or 5 cost card, after you use the Yondu and the Cable and all that other stuff. You can get a lot of value out of it. So, it's not for me, but I do hope that this card does find some success later into the future. Okay, moving on to the new location is F.E.A.S.T, and it's an acronym, F.E.A.S.T. F.E.A.S.T is, after you play a card here, all players get +1 energy next turn. And this is a paradigm that I don't think we've seen a ton of. It's symmetrical, and you have the ability to engage with it, but if both players are engaging in it, cards are going to be flying out of your hand. Now, it's interesting because the more cards you play, I don't think it activates multiple times. I could be wrong on that. I haven't done it, extensive testing, but I'm pretty sure you play a card there, your opponent plays a card there, you'll both get +2 energy. But if you play 3 cards there, I don't think it buffs it by 3. I think you still just get +1. It's an interesting dichotomy. I do think that this card, it's like Wave in a way where that you're helping you have the possibility of really helping your opponent. But if you have a game plan that you need that energy for, you're going to play there regardless. I mean, it's interesting. I like it. I haven't had any problems with this location, and I think that it's really cool. So now we get to move on to the juicy stuff. In particular, there's a lot of cards in here that I like that are getting buffed, which I'm really excited to see. So let's do it. Zabu got a massive change. Went from a 2/3 to a 1/2. The old on reveal was until the end of your turn, your 4 cost cards have 1 less cost. The new one is on reveal, give each 4 cost card in your deck -1 cost. This is big. I mean, in a weird way, it's kind of like the original Zabu in that you play it down, and then from that point forward, your 4 cost cards are cheaper. But, of course, since it's only affecting your deck, if you draw Zabu late, he's not going to help you as much as drawing it early. So I like this a lot, actually. I've played around with a couple of deck ideas, and I came up with one that seems to be pretty awesome. I don't think I'm the first person to think of this. It's a buff deck where you throw, Zabu, Psylocke, throw in like Okoye and Forge, Gwenpool, and then you put a bunch of forecasts in there, and it's a lot of fun. And I will say, I think this Zabu has a lot more staying power because of how cheap it is. Like, you can do more stuff. Like, you could Grandmaster Zabu, you could play it on a Wong, you can do a bunch of stuff that makes this card compelling, and I think it's more balanced because it's only affecting the deck, so you still have to draw into the cards. I really like this, and I hope to see that Zabu gets a little bit more recognition now. Hellcow is now... It used to be a 4/6, it is now a 4/7. It used to say activate, discard 2 cards from your hand. Now it says activate, discard a card from your hand. And, I don't think this is a surprise, because Hella decks have been terrorizing the meta for a little bit now. And it's all because of Hellcow being able to discard 2 cards after you play your Hella. Or I guess before, but you know what I mean. Like, activating it after you play the Hella on the board already. That's important. It's going to be a little weaker, but I'm still seeing people play Hella, so I don't know if this was, like, the most effective nerf I've ever seen. But, it certainly limits the power of the deck. There's no questioning that. I do hope that we see less Hella, and I also hope that Hella is still playable. I don't want the deck to be unplayable, I just don't want to run into it all the time. And I think that this is a pretty good balance of that. We'll have to see. Maybe Activate is just too good. Okay, this is important too. White Widow received a change to Widow's Kiss. The Widow's Kiss used to say ongoing, this is -3 power, disable this ability if this side of location is full. But now it's a 0, -4, destroy this when your side of the location is full. This is really cool to me. I know that a lot of people aren't really excited about this. It is a nerf. There's no two ways about it, but it still has the ability to just win you the game on certain locations. I talked about it all the time when this card came out. I just thought it was so stupid that you could throw Widow's Kiss into Throne Room and just win that location. And the difference between something like Widow's Kiss and a Goblin is that there's a lot more risk with a Goblin. It's a higher cost. It can't, it can be stopped the same way, but like, it'll stay on your side. So it's -3 power if they fill their location, whereas Widow was a 2/2. So like, you don't mind. This feels a lot better to me. There are still going to be times when you throw this onto a location and it totally wipes them out. And, it's a really good priority tool still. I'd say it's better than Lizard. And that's really, really important because they obviously don't want to destroy this card. It's very popular. And on top of all of this, when it says that destroy this when your side of location is full, if you play it onto something like a Bar Sinister, it'll do it only one at a time. So if you have like 4 Widow's Kisses there, only one of them will be destroyed, and the other 3 will remain because now the location is open. So I still think it's really, really good. It's not going to be as detrimental as it was before in Clog, which, thank goodness. Clog is very unfun to play against. I know there are a lot of enjoyers of it. I am just not one of those people. So yeah, really happy about that change. Viper got a pretty simple change. She went from a 3/5 to a 3/4, and this is warranted, right? When you're playing Viper, you shouldn't be able to have a 3/5 body and be able to throw over a -3 hood. That is a huge swing, and you're disabling one of the spots in that location where power could be. So it's just a ton of value. So making it a 3/4 still makes it really, really good. I think that you are still going to play Viper in all the decks you're playing her in, and there are going to be times when that 1 power loses you the game, but the effect is still what you want. So good job on that. So this is like a combo change to Kingpin, Scream, and the location Fisk Tower. So Fisk Tower, Kingpin, and Scream all give negative power to cards that move. They changed this so that it no longer affects unrevealed cards, and the only reason that this would really matter is because of Juggernaut, right? Because Juggernaut can move unrevealed cards. It used to be that Kingpin, Scream, and Fisk Tower would take power away from that card, even though it's flipped down, but they have changed it for consistency. The good news about this is Scream went up to a 2/3 to sort of compensate for it. And I really like this change because I'm all for consistency in this game. You know, with such simple text, sometimes interactions aren't that obvious. And this makes it obvious. You can't affect unrevealed cards unless the card says so. I will say, maybe I'd have to look at Forge's text, but I think he's the only, or one of the only cards that can give power to a card that's face down. Let me look up Forge really quick. Yeah, on reveal, give the next card you play +2 power. So honestly, I would like if they added a clarification to that, because that would be more consistency for me. Because, you know, we all thought Aranya would be able to do the same thing as Forge, and of course we found out that it doesn't. So, you know, more consistency changes are better. I just I wish they would do it to some of the other cards, you know. But I do like this change. You know, and making Scream a 2/3, that's easy value. So I'm sure the Scream players are happy about that. Grandmaster also went from a 2/2 to a 2/3, and thank goodness I think this card is playable, guys. I like, if you're putting Grandmaster in your deck, I don't think you need to be embarrassed about it. Like, should I just use Absorbing Man? There's a real value to this now. It's only 1 less power than Absorbing Man, and it's 2 energy cheaper. I mean, the downside, of course, is that it's, you know, one of your on-reveal cards randomly in the location, and it moves it to the middle. There are things about this card that make it different than Absorbing Man, but it's so good. I don't see why you wouldn't use this card with an on-reveal that you'd like to reproc. But as we've seen, that's tough. So I feel this card is going to be seen more in decks. I just, you know, I would say you're less embarrassed about it. 2/3 is a good stat line. One of the things I'm excited about is Emperor Hulkling going to a 6/12. And you know what? I played Emperor Hulkling in that new Zabu deck I was playing, and he won me like so many games. I guess it's just because people are scared of variance. You know, like, why would you choose Emperor Hulkling when you could choose a Magneto and get the same effect every time? But you gotta realize, Magneto isn't going to win you the game all the time, right? And like, so Emperor Hulkling brings value in that he gives you snap equity. Like, one time I got a Galactus, and that was great. I won the game just by getting Galactus. Or I had another time where I got Dr. Doom, and I was able to reproc that with my symbiote Spider-Man. That's great, and it won the lane by itself. You know, like, making it a 6/12 just makes the case even stronger. I really hope that people see the value in this card. I know that it's scary because it's variance, and we don't like variance. But, like, I don't know. I feel like I'm shouting into a brick wall. I don't know. I really like this change. I think that this makes it entirely okay to play Emperor Hulkling in your deck. The worst it can be is like a Hulk, which can still swing a lane. So, you know, that's where I stand on it. I probably am simping for this card for my own personal bias reasons, and I understand that. But, like, come on, guys. It's a good card. It's cool. Okay. Moving on to Okoye. Okoye went from a 2/2 to a 2/3. And again, I think this just makes her a playable card. Like, it's significant to have this sort of power. Now, every time that you play Okoye down, you're getting more value. Every time. So, like, if you play it on 2, those are potentially, like, 4 cards that you might be able to draw that have that buffed power, and that makes Okoye a 2/7. And, of course, if you're putting Okoye in your deck, obviously there are targets that are more valuable to hit, so I like it, man. especially, I think this especially highlights the difference between her and Agent Venom. Like, Agent Venom can turn an Iron Man into a beast. And it can turn a Sage into a beast, and a Mystique into a beast. And Okoye, in comparison, looks very lame. You're getting 2 less power, and you're only adding +1 power. So making it a 2-3, again, makes it less embarrassing to put into your deck. If I see an Okoye now, I don't think I need to assume it's a bot deck. Like, that 2-3 makes a difference, especially now that Grandmaster got that buff. If you have both Okoye and Grandmaster in your deck, that's a lot of value. So I like it. I would say this whole patch is just like a really great showcase of them looking at the way that the meta is going and adjusting it, but not destroying any archetypes. I like it a lot. So yeah, that's my feelings on the new patch. A quick shout out to the people who enjoyed my deck on SnapFan. I post my decks on there occasionally, and you know what? Some of them are popping off, and I really like that. It gives me the good feelings, the good chemicals in my brain. So, yeah, that's it for me. If there's one thing that you can remember, it's that I'm InfiNOT. Thanks for listening.